Good morning everyone. I am Gail Dique. I am going to report to you the parts of learning plan. Before we start, I am going to introduce to you my partner, Miss Kunkon, May Princess, and it starts. Parts of learning plan. What is learning plan? A learning plan is a useful tool to plan and manage learning goals as they relate to achieving work, objectives, and or competency development. Learning plan, it is a tool. It helps you to manage those learning goals na gusto nimo ma-achieve. Murag siya ang ga-organize. That is the purpose of the learning plan. We have parts of learning plan. The list number 1 or first parts of learning plan is the lesson objectives. Second, the related requirements. Third, the lesson materials. Fourth, the lesson procedure. Fifth, the assessment method. And sixth, the last part is the lesson reflection. First, we have to discuss the lesson objectives. First, lesson objectives. Lesson objectives list what students will be able to do after completing the lesson. These objectives let you easily tell if your lessons has effectively taught your students new concept and skills. Mao ni siya ang kanang objective or unsay gusto nimo maabot anang imuhang last learning plan nimo or gusto nimo ma-achieve during the learning process. This is the purpose of the lesson objectives. One of the most popular goal-setting strategies is the SMART. Kabalo naman jud ta what is SMART, diba? It is the specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Diri sa lesson objectives, diri ang question nga, is the objective specific? Is the objective measurable? Is it attainable? Relevant to the class and students, or time-based, or aligned with your syllabus? Depending on what topic you're teaching and the level of knowledge your students have, this action will vary. Second is related requirements. Related requirements are national, state, or school standards that dictate what you need to teach in a class. If you teach a CTE course, you likely need to tie your lessons to certification requirements as well. Mao ni diri ang mga require or kinahanglan nimo para magkatudlo na or you need what your requirements to teach in a class. Every lesson you teach should help you hit those requirements. Listing them in your lesson plans help you satisfy those requirements while focusing on the end goal of your class. On top of that, some administrators require teachers to distinctly show how they will teach core standards in each lesson. Third is the lesson materials. The third section on your lesson plan is the list of materials that you need to teach the lesson and measure students' outcomes. This section prepares you to deliver your lessons every day. The list of materials for each lesson depends on what you plan to teach, how you'll teach it, and how you'll measure lesson objectives. Then fourth is the lesson procedure. Fourth, your lesson procedure is an in-depth explanation of how your lesson will progress in a classroom. The lesson procedure is essentially step-by-step instructions that walk you through everything from the time students enter the classroom until the bell rings at the end of the period. There is a lesson procedure, diri ang kanang in-depth explanation o kung saan nimo pag-deliver sa lesson para masabtan sa estudyante if ever during the learning process in the classroom. When you're writing your lesson procedure, you need to choose the type of activities that will help students meet the lesson objectives. At AS, recruitment teacher use the 4 phases. Naa siya 4 phases para sa teacher mag-teach. First is the explore. Students discover a concept. Then learn and practice. Students apply their discoveries. Then reflect. Students review what they've learned. And reinforce. Students apply their knowledge to problem-solving scenarios. Explore ka ng mga discover a concept or ka ng mga new knowledge nga discover sa students during the learning process. And learn and practice. Katoy lang students apply their discoveries. Dito na nila i-apply ilang mga learnings sa ilang mga scenarios nga ma-applyan sa ilang mga na-learn during the learning process. Then reflect. Once ay natun-an nila during the learning process. Then reinforce. Students apply their knowledge. Diri ana sa ilang mga natunan, gamiton nila to ilang mga natunan during the learning process sa problem-solving scenarios. Then phase 1 na explain na diri explore. In the explore phase of your lesson, you'll introduce the objectives of the lesson. So diri as explore, i-introduce na nimo ang objectives sa lesson. Unsay gusto ma-achieve nga goal during the learning process and discuss key concepts students should know. Then phase 2, learn and practice. In the learning practice, your students will work independently to get into details of your lesson. So, phase 3, reflect. In the reflect phase, students will look back what they've learned in the lesson. Then phase 4 reinforce. Mo na itong i-explain kayo na ilan nang i-apply ilang mga natunan sa mga activities, mga problem solving, unsaon nila paggamit ilang natunan para makasolve ang mga activities, mga scenarios. Then fifth, assessment method. So the assessment of method measures whether your students learned a lesson's information and met your lesson objective. So the methods listed on your lesson plan will most often be formative assessments and vary from lesson to lesson. 6. The last part, lesson reflection. So the lesson reflection portion of the lesson plan encourages teachers to take notes on how to improve a lesson after it has been completed. By this point, your lesson has clear objectives, a plan for teaching, and a way to assess students' learning. So there is a lesson reflection, dari nga unsay mga dito sa during the learning process unsay mga natunaan sa mga students, unsaon nimo pag-improve sa imong pagtulo sa students. Diri na dayon na plan for teaching na kay mga method and how to deliver the learnings nga maka-cope up ang mga students or makatuon. So essentially, you want to note any part of your lesson that didn't go as expected. In addition, it's smart to record ideas o mag-record kag ideas for improvement or adjustment in this section as well. So dakan mga improvement, dakan kay mga discovered during the learning process. Dili ra ang students ang maka-learn sa imo as a teacher, maka-learn pud ka sa students. So during the learning process, dagan ka i-adjust, i-improve para maka-cope up ang students during the learning process. Thank you.